Hello, my name's Alex. I want to talk about priorities today. With email, a lot of times what happens is people know that it's important, but they have their brand, they have all this stuff to do, and so they never have the time to get to it. And I think a big part of the reason is that it feels like this overwhelming, huge thing that you have to do, and you have all these steps and all these flows, and you have to figure out all this stuff, and it's overwhelming. So this video is to explain, basically build a roadmap of what I think the priorities should be to grow your email account with, using the 80/20 rule, minimizing input, or focusing on the tasks that are going to maximize the revenue you get from your work. And then as you have more time, more budget to allocate to this, you can go down that list and start optimizing. So this is a 3-step process, and I want to just walk through it, and I think it's going to be not too long, but I have a couple of things to say about all these things. So the first step is volume. We focus on volume. We want to grow the list as quickly as possible, and we want to reach as many people as possible with messages. You might have heard things against batching and blasting and so on. That applies to bigger lists. It also applies to brands that have the time to segment. So if you're starting out, as long as your metrics are okay, and in the beginning they're probably going to be okay, you don't want to segment too much, because if you segment too much, you're just not going to reach anyone, and then you're not going to make any money. In the beginning, volume is really an important thing, especially as you have a smaller list. You're going to want to be much more aggressive with your segmentation and not exclude anyone, or exclude very few people. So these are the 3 steps that go with this, right? The really non-negotiable steps are going to be a pop-up or some sort of offer. It could be an embedded quiz or something like that. Usually it's a pop-up. They do really well. It has to be an offer, right? It's more about the offer. I'm actually going to replace this. It's more about the offer than the pop-up. It's really about finding the winning offer that's going to get you a 5 to 10% sign-up rate, ideally, and really get you to maximize the amount of emails you get for the traffic you send to your site. So that's the first step, right? You want to maximize that. And then I have a couple of videos on offers and sign-up forms and all that stuff if you're interested in finding out more about that. But in this video, I'm focusing on priorities. So then we have the sign-up form. So the welcome flow. So obviously, once you have converted people into your offer, you're going to want to build something that's like super simple. Just saying, hey, if you're giving a discount, hey, this is your discount code, or welcome. This is, you basically fulfill the offer, and it's important to have an email so that they can keep that in their inbox in case it's a discount code that, if you give that to them on the website and then they jump off, if they come back, they might be frustrated that they don't have the discount code anymore. So you just want to give them that so that you have it handy. So this is why I put that in the first priority list. It's also a super, super basic flow that you can build. You can just say hello, thank you, welcome, and give them a discount code. You don't even need to add a picture, right? It's with these basic flows I'm talking about right now, it's all about the timing. And it's all about the timing. When I say that, it's like if you want to just have a sentence in there that gives them the code with no formatting and nothing else, and an unsubscribing at the bottom, that's completely fine, and that's so much better than having nothing. So, the first step is really just about volume and reaching the right people. Then you're going to want to build a campaign plan. So that is negotiable. I guess it depends on the size of your list and your budget. But I would definitely put that in if you have a list that's a decent size, and if you this is probably one of the most value bringing activities you can do in a lot of times, because this is just simply going to reach the most people, right? Sending 2 emails a week to your whole list, or to the most engaged part of your list, depending on how big your list is going to be the fastest return on your investment that you can see. So that's why I'm putting it here. I would say this is negotiable depending on how much bandwidth you have. These 2, I would say, are non-negotiable. You have to have that, otherwise your emails are not going to get you any money, because if you don't have a good offer, you're not going to grow your list fast enough, and you're just going to get frustrated that your flows are not getting any traffic, and then you're not getting any sales from emails, and then you're probably going to stop because you have other things to do and more money bringing opportunities. But this is why we don't want to leave that money on the table. We want to make sure that we're growing our list with a really good offer. And then we have the checkout abandonment flow. So that is for people who leave their carts. The reason I'm putting this in the first emails, again, it's super simple. And also this is probably one of the most profitable flow I'm seeing in general. And it's also, again, it's super simple to build. You can even use existing templates. Most ESPs, Klaviyo, MailChimp, etc. have this. They have built-in templates. So if you don't want to, be bothered with writing the copy and putting content in there, they have templates that will show them the product that people have looked at. And a lot of times the best performing checkout flows are actually the simplest ones, and just ones where we use an existing template but we just put a branded spin on it. But again, the branded spin is not something that is in the first step. The first step is just having that email go out to people, even if it's super, super basic. So that is for this. And then the last one I would put in here is an upsell. And this is something that so many brands don't have. I would also put that in the first step here, because this is your warmest audience. You've already done all the work, spent all the money to convert this person to a customer. Now let's use this wonderful channel that is email to just get some more money out of them, to increase the order value. And it's email, so it's free. All you have to do is just set that up. And again, it can be super, super basic. Again, I would say the offer here is 80% of the results. And the offer is not super easy to find. I'm not going to say it's not all about just having a discount, because the discounts are overdone, and you can use discounts, but you have to do it right. So finding the right offer is definitely going to be the most challenging part about this. But I just want to bring the point across that then the whole building the email is actually super simple, right? You just keep it extremely simple. All this is about is sending people the right offer at the right time. That's all this flow is supposed to do. It doesn't matter if it's branded or not for the beginning. The optimization of this is actually going to be in step 3. So once you have all these things, let's not talk about campaigns, but let's say you have all these flows set up. The second step, once you've maximized your volume and you've done everything you can to maximize volume at every step, is to cover every step of the funnel. So you may wonder why I have these weird arrows all over the place. This is the best way I could find to do this, but basically this is the flow that I usually have. The funnel that I usually build is we start at the sign up form, and then we have all these steps here that are part of the funnel as people are moving down the funnel. So we have people signed up, they are active on site, which means they just show some site activity without any other activity, without any other action. Then they view product, then they add the product to their cart, they hit checkout, they purchase. The order is fulfilled, and then this is for when people don't purchase again. So the blue ones, all the blue steps here are step 2. So I didn't put this flow in there because I think this is more of a secondary flow. I wouldn't put that in there. I would have it in every account set up by the end of it, but in step 2, covering every step of the funnel, I guess you can argue if this is a real step of the funnel. That's why I'm putting it here. But it is definitely an email that can do well. Anyway, we're going to talk about this later. Browse abandonment, cart abandonment. Browse abandonment is you can use the same structure as the checkout abandonment that you already have at this point. So that's good. You just need some different dynamic code to show. Again, this is a template that you are going to have in your ESP in Klaviyo and MailChimp, whatever you're using. You're going to have a template for this, so you don't even have to worry about it. You can just use that. Same thing as checkout abandonment. It's super simple. It's, hey, you viewed this product, why don't you buy it? And then you can make it more interesting, and you can also give a discount if you want, or give an incentive. But at its core, this is just a reminder. So no need to overcomplicate this. This is just 2 emails, same as the cart abandonment. And then this is the cart abandonment, right? So yeah, checkout abandonment versus cart abandonment. Why am I mixing those up? This is something that is mostly an issue with Klaviyo users, but most people use Klaviyo, so I'm just going to talk about this for a second. Cart abandonment versus checkout abandonment. The flow that Klaviyo calls cart abandonment is actually the checkout abandonment. So if you look at your online store, there's going to be a button on the product page that says add this product to the cart, and then there's going to be a button in the cart, right? Once you're in the cart page, there's another button that says proceed to checkout. So that is this flow, proceed to checkout, and that is called abandoned cart in Klaviyo. So if you want this other trigger, which is on the product page, someone hitting add to cart, you're going to want to do, there's some steps, you have to look it up. It's not very difficult. You have to paste some code into your Shopify site. This is assuming you're using Shopify as well. But you basically have to build this trigger. And it's simpler than it sounds. But this is why I'm putting it on the secondary step list, because it's something that is going to require a little bit more work and thinking about things. It's not something as straightforward as this, and it also doesn't usually drive as much revenue as this other flow. So depending on your tech setup, you might not even have this distinction, but most stores have it. So this is kind of the standard way, assuming Shopify and Klaviyo are on the site. If not, you might still have some variation of those two events. You might already have this cart event if you're using a different tech setup. Anyway, if that's the case, just skip this and ignore it. But just so you know, there's two triggers. A lot of people think there's just one trigger, which is called added to cart, and that's because the naming is very ambiguous in Klaviyo. So I just wanted to clarify this. And I would do this as a second step, because it usually doesn't bring as much revenue as the abandoned checkout flow. But you can really use a setup that is super simple, super similar to that, right? So once you have this trigger set up, it's very, very simple to get from here to having this one trigger to covering both triggers. And then you're covering an additional step of your funnel. So really here we want to think about at every step of our customer journey, we want emails to accompany them. We want so that they don't drop off, right? They don't just have one interaction on the website and then they're gone and forget about us. They have one interaction on the website, and based on that, they get 1, 2, or 3 relevant emails in their inbox that are going to remind them that the brand is a thing. It's out there and it's waiting for them to finish their purchase, and it's an amazing brand, and that's why they should finish their purchase. So that's what all these flows are trying to achieve. Then another one that I think is very important, again, we're going to post-purchase experience here. So post-purchase is going to be much more customized based on your type of product, the price point, the category, whether it's a one-off type of purchase or a product that can be reordered many times, whether it's a subscription business or not. There are lots of different things here. I still want to kind of have this generic overview. In general, we'll want to have some sort of upsell for every business. It doesn't matter. You're going to want to improve your order value. So that's what that is. It could be a cross-sell, it can be an upsell, whatever it is. It's about increasing order value. The second thing is you're going to want some sort of way to collect reviews and UGC ideally. A ton of brands are sleeping on this opportunity to just get free customer videos. It's super expensive to get content, but then at the same time, the ads that often do the best are ads that are just look super cheaply made or homemade, because they build that trust, right? So you can just get those ads for free by having emails that collect those videos. If you just have to, again, think about an offer that's going to incentivize people after they already purchased. So again, if your product is more of a one-off purchase or a big ticket item, a high ticket item that is not going to be purchased again in a month, maybe don't do a discount on the next order, right? Maybe find something else that's going to incentivize people to leave a discount, a review, a video review, right? That's kind of the holy grail. And then text reviews are great as well. You should have something in there just to collect reviews, even if you don't want to deal with the whole UGC thing. Having some sort of review collection mechanism is just, you're going to build some social proof with that, and it's great. So I would always have that. And then a win-back flow. Again, here, if you have any product that can be reordered after the time window is passed, where people usually reorder based on your purchase data, have a reorder flow in there. If not, you're going to want to skip to the win-back, which is if someone has not reordered, but they're way past the time where they would usually reorder. So you're just kind of reminding them that we have some new exciting updates. We have new products that we've launched since you last visited. Depending on the type of business, the messaging here is going to depend, but you're going to want to, basically this is a flow of just bringing people back into the funnel that are past purchasers. So they're an engaged segment because of that. Purchasers are typically a pretty good segment to target. You don't want to just lose them and have them go out into the limbo of unengaged subscribers. You want to bring them back if you can. So this flow is important to just kind of cover that step and make sure that anyone who maybe just forgot about us but actually really liked the brand is coming back. So this is it for step 2. Now you've covered your volume, you have your core offer, your core flows, and you've also covered every single step of the purchase funnel with a relevant flow. So now step 3, optimize. So I'm still not sure if I want to put this in step 2 or step 3. The site abandonment flow is kind of a weird one because it can be difficult to find the right messaging here. This is a flow for people that have been on the site but they haven't even viewed a product, so we don't know much about them except that they cared enough to leave their email. So but then so the assumption is either they have been confused or they have been distracted, and if they've been confused, maybe it's because there's too many options, and so what we want to do is just really simplify that for them, ideally in a fun way, so that we drive some curiosity and they get intrigued and then they interact with the website more. Because at the core of it, that's kind of what this email does. Is you want to have people interact with the website more because they've barely interacted with it. So you want to just fix that and have them look at the product some more so they can get excited about them and buy something. This is, again, it can be kind of tricky to find the right angle for this. So that's why I feel like this is kind of at the same importance level as these other optimization steps. But this can be a very profitable flow if you do it right. It can be very, very... I've seen it actually done as well as the abandoned checkout flow, but you have to really find the good, the right angle. So that's why I'm putting it here. I think if we're focusing on low-hanging fruit, this does not belong in step 2. So step 3 again is optimize. So what else do we have in optimization? A/B tests. Any sort of A/B test, really. You don't want to deal with A/B tests until you've covered all the steps of your funnel. I'm seeing this a lot, and this is kind of the reason I'm making this video in the first place. Maybe I should have said that in the beginning, but the A/B tests are very distracting. I found I see a lot of brands where they're not sending campaigns. They don't have all the steps of the funnel covered, which is what really brings you the low-hanging fruit, and their sign-up rate is low, but then they'll have a post-purchase flow that's going to have 3 different category splits, so conditional splits here, post-purchase based on product category. They'll have 3 different ones of those, and in each of them there's an A/B test. And then let's say they also don't get a ton of traffic. This A/B test is never going to finish, right? It's going to take 10 years. And I've built a tool to estimate how long it's going to take for an A/B test to complete, and 10 years is not even an exaggerated number. Like, some brands are running A/B tests that will only finish in 10 years or more, or they will never finish, reaching statistical significance. So this is an example of something where you put work in, but then you don't get anything out of it. So this is what this video is about, right? It's like, this is the stuff that you have to think about first. It's the offer. It's covering the right, the core flows, and then covering all the steps of your funnel with a flow, because that is really the low-hanging fruit, and then do everything else, right? And this is kind of the step 3 is everything else. It's like, it's not unimportant, right? I'm very data-driven. This is a core part of what I do. But objectively, if we're very constrained in terms of time and bandwidth, we're going to want to follow this framework to maximize results. So, refining campaigns, which means refining segmentation, right? And this is what I mean with tiny segments as well. If you want to make a campaign, if you want to go through all the effort to make a campaign that only goes to customers who've previously purchased and whose lifetime value is over $1,000, I'm going to assume that most brands, that's a tiny fraction of your customers. This is a lot of effort for the results you're going to get. Yes, those customers are very engaged, but they're also going to be a tiny, tiny segment. So you're better off sending a campaign to everyone. So the idea is here, you first cover all this volume and these steps, and then you optimize, maybe you reduce the amount of campaigns you send to everyone if your metrics go down, and then you start adding some tiny segments to get additional revenue. But still, the base of it is going to be sending enough campaigns to everyone. Again, conditional splits and flows, they can be great, right? That you send different tutorials based on the kind of product someone's purchased. That's amazing. It builds more customer loyalty with a brand because they see it's not a generic email, it's an email about the specific product they bought. Again, this is something that's not going to bring you a ton of money. So in the beginning, if you're focusing on ROI, this is why this is in the third step. You don't even want to think about that in the beginning. In the beginning, you're covering all the steps. Refining campaigns, refining the design, like starting to think about the color of calls to action, stuff like that. These are all important things. You can always get more money from doing these things, but not at the expense of not doing any of these things above here. And again, A/B tests. This is a very broad one, but any sort of A/B test, I really think it can take a while to set up, unless you're just setting them up randomly. In which case, if you're just testing one random subject line against another one, you're not going to get a ton of valuable, actionable insights from that. Versus if you create a question that's like, do people like simpler subject lines or more complicated ones, and you test that over a month, that's going to be much more impactful. But that also takes a lot more work. You have to also not just run these A/B tests and set them up and think about all the data and set them up right, but you also have to analyze all the data. So there's a lot of work that goes into that part of running emails, and it's just, you're not going to get any sort of meaningful results if you start with this. And I think a lot of brands start with this, and then they get frustrated with their email marketing and why it's not working, and so they just stop. Because obviously, they're businesses, they want to make money, and they're not making money with email, so why would they continue? And this video is just kind of to give you that framework. If you're starting out with email, you're already doing well and you just haven't really had the time to focus on emails, and you're just kind of trying to figure out how to best get some results out of your existing email list, or you are just starting out and you don't have a ton of people in your email list, maybe you're a smaller brand and you've heard so much about email, but you haven't really known how to get into it, this is really a good framework to use, I would say. So feel free to screenshot this. But yeah, this is, priorities. This is all about priorities. I think the biggest reason for failing to do email marketing is simply a matter of priorities. It's just people getting overwhelmed with all the stuff, with all of this stuff, when what they should be thinking about is only this green stuff. So I hope this makes sense. I hope my arrows are not too confusing, because I know this is kind of a weird way of setting it up. I just wasn't sure how else to do it. So yeah, I hope this was an interesting video, and that you have a clearer picture of what is really important. And again, one last thing is, this doesn't mean that one of these steps is more important than another, but depending on where you are, one of these is going to be more relevant to you. So leave any questions you have in the comments, and let me know if there's anything that's unclear about this. That's it. Thank you.